Hi BL enthusiasts, this is spoiler part 1. Episode 14 of ABO Desire. The series hits heavy with emotions, misunderstandings, and the kind of dramatic tension that makes this show so addicting. If you've been following along, you know that Shen Wenlang and Gao Tu's relationship has always been a messy mix of gratitude, power, and unspoken feelings. But in this episode, the cracks between them become heartbreakingly clear, and the reason behind Gao Tu's resignation finally casts a new shadow over their story. The kicker: Shen Wenlang doesn't know the truth, that Gao Tu is pregnant with his child and left to protect that life rather than abort it. This misunderstanding becomes the emotional core of the entire episode. Let's break this down. The episode opens with Shen Wenlang spiraling after Gao Tu's resignation from HS Group. Wenlang had always assumed Gao Tu would never leave him, that he would stay by his side out of loyalty, money, and perhaps some unspoken gratitude. To him, their connection was unshakable, something constant that he could rely on in his world of power and cold business dealings. But when Gao Tu handed over his work and left with no regrets, it shattered Wenlang's illusion. He realized too late that Gao Tu wasn't bound to him the way he thought. From there, we get a series of scenes that truly show Shen Wenlang unraveling. His WeChat messages to Gao Tu are painful to watch, because they show a man who's both desperate and prideful, unable to handle rejection but too stubborn to admit what he really feels. At first, Gao Tu responds to him with small, polite replies, helping him find a pair of cufflinks, politely saying, "You're welcome," and keeping the conversation neutral. But Wenlang's tone quickly shifts. His frustration and jealousy start spilling out, especially when he convinces himself that Gao Tu left him for another Omega. This is where the episode really digs into Wenlang's flawed personality. He bombards Gao Tu with intrusive questions about his supposed new Omega partner, when they're getting married, what the Omega looks like, and even asking for photos. His messages swing wildly from demanding to pleading, and then to anger again. It's almost like watching someone lose control in real time, and the pacing of these message exchanges drives that feeling home. The more Wenlang presses, the more Gao Tu retreats, until eventually Gao Tu's replies stop altogether. One of the most gut-wrenching parts of this episode is seeing how Wenlang can't stop himself. Even when he knows he sounds obsessive, jealous, and childish, he keeps pushing. He withdraws messages almost immediately after sending them, which shows his internal conflict. Part of him knows he's acting irrationally, but another part can't resist reaching out. His insecurity, mixed with his growing anger, makes him lash out in ways that only push Gao Tu further away. Meanwhile, we as the audience know the truth that Wenlang doesn't. Gao Tu didn't leave because of another Omega. He left because he's pregnant with Wenlang's child. This revelation makes the entire episode even more tragic, because while Wenlang is consumed by jealousy and assumptions, Gao Tu is quietly making the hardest decision of his life. Instead of choosing to abort, he decides to keep the baby, even if it means leaving the man he loves and facing everything alone. It's a silent act of love, sacrifice, and strength, but Wenlang interprets it as betrayal. The show does an excellent job at contrasting Wenlang's chaotic emotional breakdown with Gao Tu's quiet resilience. While Wenlang floods his phone with unanswered messages, Gao Tu is off-screen, holding onto his secret and trying to build a new life away from HS Group. We don't see much of Gao Tu in this episode, but his absence speaks louder than words. Every message that goes unanswered is a reminder of his decision to protect himself and the baby, even at the cost of Wenlang's misunderstanding. The tension finally peaks when Wenlang, out of desperation, accuses Gao Tu of owing him money. It's a last-ditch attempt to force a reply, to get any kind of response that will tether Gao Tu back to him. And it works, at least partially. Instead of sending a message, Gao Tu pays back the money early, transferring the amount before it was even due. That moment hits hard, because it symbolizes a clean break. He's cutting off every excuse Wenlang might use to keep him tied down. For Wenlang, That early payment is like a knife in the chest. His anger, which had been burning so brightly, fizzles out into something heavier, emptiness. It's such a human reaction. You can feel his frustration, his helplessness, and his growing realization that maybe Gao Tu really won't come back this time. Instead of relief, the payment leaves him with a void, like the ground has been pulled out from under him. The man he thought he owned, the one he thought would never leave, is slipping through his fingers. The brilliance of this episode is how it makes you feel both sides of the tragedy. On one hand, Wenlang's actions are toxic, he's controlling, obsessive, and blinded by his own ego. But on the other hand, you can't help but feel for him. His obsession comes from love, a kind of desperate love he doesn't know how to express healthily. He wants Gao Tu, needs him even, but doesn't know how to treat him in a way that would make him stay willingly. On the flip side, Gao Tu's silence isn't coldness, it's sacrifice. He's carrying the weight of a secret that would change everything, but instead of burdening Wenlang with it, he chooses to walk away. That choice makes his character both strong and tragic, because we know he's suffering too. Episode 14 sets the stage for even more heartbreak to come. The pregnancy secret is the ticking time bomb that will eventually explode between them, and when it does, the fallout will be massive. For now, though, we're left watching two men drifting further apart because of pride, assumptions, and unspoken truths. The messaging sequences might feel repetitive at first, but they serve a purpose, to show the slow, painful disconnection happening in real time. Every unanswered message is another thread being cut between them. In the end, this episode isn't about dramatic confrontations or big revelations. It's about distance, silence, and the pain of not knowing the truth. Shen Wenlang believes he's being abandoned for another Omega, while Gao Tu is silently protecting the life growing inside him. Both men are hurting, both are longing, but neither can bridge the gap just yet. And that's what makes this episode so powerful. It's frustrating, heartbreaking, and raw, but it's also beautifully done. As viewers, we're left shouting at the screen, wishing Wenlang would stop assuming and just listen, wishing Gao Tu would open up and tell the truth. But the fact that they don't makes it all the more real. Relationships often break not because of a lack of love, but because of miscommunication, pride, and timing, and this episode captures that perfectly. So, to sum it up, Episode 14 of ABO Desire the series delivers one of the most emotionally charged storylines so far. Shen Wenlang's spiral into obsession, his unanswered pleas, and his eventual emptiness are painful to watch, especially when you know the heartbreaking truth behind Gao Tu's resignation. With the pregnancy secret looming in the background, the show has set the stage for a devastating reveal in the future. This was less about romance and more about raw human emotion, the kind that makes you ache for both characters even as they hurt each other.